presidential race, they need to have us.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening to conduct the city's business. Please lead us in the right direction for what's best for the citizens and the safety of our community. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Call to order the city council meeting of August 15th, 2024. Allie, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki, if you'll call roll.
J.P. Hodges,
Here.
Lewis Short,
Here.
Lane Tubbs,
Here.
Jim Adams, Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Here.
Jim Lay,
Here,
Andy Eklund, Attorney Prince, Mayor,
Here.
any members of the press?
Let the record show we have a quorum. First, I need a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve the minutes with excerpts as presented of the July 18th, 2024 city council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any
Who was to
discussion?
move?
Lewis.
Lewis.
Vicki, when you're ready.
Jim Lay,
here,
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Lewis Short,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, I need approval of the payments journals dated July 1st through July 31st, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Vicki?
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
yes,
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Lewis Short,
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, approval of the street fund financial statement, sanitation fund, general fund financial statement, community center, O&M, and miscellaneous funds dated July 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Vicki?
Jim Lay,
yes,
Lewis Short,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Motion carried. You have supervisor reports in your packets. Do you have any questions for the supervisors?
I was gonna follow up on the storm damage repairs, that $100,000, like how is that moving along and,
Okay, Scott? Melissa asked about the storm damage and the progress.
Like streets, have you identified streets that we could pave asphalt yet?
I have not. I'm still playing catch up from the flood.
That's what we're
you're
asking about.
referring to.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still doing repairs,
He's
Okay.
replaced a lot of culverts.
but yeah, I got some roads tore up.
Yeah, so is that, but that money that we allocated last time is for culverts and things like that as well, or just for?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's what we're at. Any idea when Front Street,
The what?
do you have an idea when?
It's last.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting,
Yeah.
Too late, school started.
yeah, I know. With school starting, I feel like it's gonna get tore up even more with the traffic it's getting.
Okay, anything else?
So are there other projects? I know we were trying to figure out how much. It was kind of an emergency situation.
Yeah, I think we're okay right now. I think first she's gotta get all those culverts finished, all that storm damage taken care of, and identify streets in that process, and then we'll have to get quotes.
Okay.
But we're talking about streets, and this is not stormwater issue, but While I was out getting signatures, one of the main things was, street repair. Used to, we'd go around our ward and get lists of streets that we wanted to try to have done the next fiscal year. Could we
Get back to that.
look into that?
Yeah.
Because it's,
I think that'd be great.
I mean, we used to do that all the time.
Yeah, and then prioritize them, what's the worst to the, yeah, that'd be
I'll
excellent.
do that.
Since we're coming up on
Okay.
budget time.
Yes. Anything else?
I got one, Josh, since we bought the, what's it called, Wibbit?
Yes,
How's that going? Like, are we getting many rentals or
we are,
anything out of
we
that?
are. And I
Okay.
was gonna wait to probably into summer to kind of collect how many total that we've done. But with the Whippet, because of the safety issue with no lifeguards, I've only allowed evening parties from 5 to 7, so it's kind of like a private party. Charging $300 for those, but we've done at least, I would say, 4 to 6. We obviously set it up, your daughter had a lot of blast on it for Summer Life as well.
Yeah.
And that's gonna also give us a reason to increase prices for Summer Life too. So I think that is going in the right direction. And when people see it out there, they're like, oh wow, I want that on my party also, so.
Yeah,
What is it?
The
It's
Whibbit.
The
Whibbit.
It's the inflatable
The thing that
play
we-
structure for the
Oh.
pool. So that was,
yeah,
if you remember me and you had a discussion about fitness equipment or that, and we elected with that, and that was definitely a good call, and that was way to go.
yeah. And that's,
Great.
I feel like we really haven't even advertised
We
that.
haven't, and
Like,
I
maybe
know-
one time we put it out there
Yeah,
that,
well, and I think we did if I recall correctly, Brad did a what's the camera, the Go cameras
GoPro.
on
Oh,
a kid that went through
yeah.
there, put that out, but I know Cameron's here with the splash pad, I know also like when that starts getting a roll, like, that's gonna be a big part of it too, like, that's definitely gonna increase revenue. for
yeah,
sure.
okay. Sounds good. What, are y'all still doing an after-school program?
We'll do PASS, the PASS stands for Panther After School Squad, started yesterday.
Okay,
It's $20 a kid for a week. We have about 13 kids enrolled right now.
and is that, what ages is that, and does like a bus drop them off here?
A bus leaves the junior high, not junior high, but the elementary, and drops them off. Off the top of your head,
For
Debbie
ages?
works here. Yeah.
Kindergarten graduates through around 6th grade.
Okay, so.
I feel like we have one that might be a little bit older. We'll leave it open for, it's obviously designed for parents who are working
Yeah.
and can't get their kids and don't want their kids to be home at school, home by themselves before they get home from work. So it is still growing. But
Yeah.
the bus, they only did limit to us 20 spots on a bus, so that's
Okay.
as big as it can get.
Okay, but yeah, $20 for the whole week for one kid to come? That's good.
Yeah.
That's a
And then
really good price.
we provide snacks and open gym, playtime, things like that.
Okay,
Brad does a great job with that.
yeah, cool.
Hey, Ronnie, did Pell get a hold of you? Did Pell get a hold of you?
Great, y'all got
Feedback you would like to share with us?
We've had some feedback on it. We have sold several. There's one listed in there, and we've sold some more since then. Feedback both good and bad. I believe there's a gentleman here that's gonna speak during the open tonight about some concern that he had with it. But for the most part, everything's been pretty good with it.
Great. Okay, unfinished business, we've got the Fire Bay construction contract. You guys have the drawings. And Nick with Salt is here also. Would you like to come up and speak to this design and tell us what's going on?
It's really just for the camera, for the video, so.
It's to make you feel awkward.
It really is. I gotta get a stand.
Ryan can hold it for you.
Okay, so, are we gonna do everything just in order to do fire base, splash pad?
I don't have it that way. I have splash pad last.
Can we do it that way then?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so first up is the construction contract for the fire base. As everybody remembers, the money for this project is coming straight out of the city coffers, just allocated capital. That money was initially part of the ARPA funds that was allocated to the city back in 2019, 2020 as part of the COVID response effort. The ARPA funds were used to support ongoing operations with fire and police, which was an allowable expense. That's how they were initially used, and then that freed up the capital as that money was reimbursed, and so now those dollars are now free to allocate to capital projects. This has nothing to do with bond funding or anything else. So bond funds are going strictly towards what was voted on, which is part of that's going to be the splash pad that we'll talk about next. So the construction contract for that is, the bid on that is $705,000, and I believe you have construction drawings there. ACB, Brian Robertson here tonight, he was also the contractor responsible for Spring Park and Sandy Beach.
Correct.
So he's the one that submitted the proposal as construction manager.
Could Ryan share like what all the firemen have been doing? Like, can you share all the work? I know you've done it in the past, but since the amount is more, like what all the work that the firemen have been doing and what, because it's basically in the same fire station. It's at Station 1.
Right, yeah.
But we need bays to put that fire truck that taxpayers voted on.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Talk about your living quarters too that you've
Yes,
done.
please.
And-
Yeah, so, the living quarters, I'll start there first. We are roughly, I'd say 98% done, so I invite anybody that wants to come look at it and view it, come walk through. Our guys have done a really great job. We've done, I would say, 80% of it all in-house, all of ourselves. And it's turned out, I think, really, really good. This new bay construction, the bays we're in now, we're probably, I'm trying to think when that building was built, probably 40, 50, something part, not really meet our needs anymore. The truck that was passed by the bond issue back in 21, I believe, we had it in service now for almost 2 years. So this will actually give us a place to house that, indoors. Here, when it storms and stuff, we have to go park it somewhere else. Kind of not where we can use it, so it doesn't get ran a lot then. And then it also gives us a chance to move some other trucks around as well. Get our ladder truck down at the main part of town as well. Put an engine back up here. Just makes it flow a lot easier. That gives us a good storage place for all of our gear and turnouts, gets all of our equipment housed under one roof instead of having to go to multiple different stations. So I think it's going to be a really, really great asset for us, for the next, I'd say, as long as I'm going to be here. So.
And our ISO ratings.
So the ISO rating right now is a 3. We had a grading back in the spring and it stayed a 3. So this will help us get towards a better goal as far as bringing that down some more. We'll move that ladder truck down there and kind of get everything under one roof again.
And we've talked about it. Is it still that area is where you see most of the calls coming in? I mean, it wouldn't make sense to move back up here.
No, I would say it's a good number, guys. Probably 60 to 75% of our calls are in that probably 2.5 mile radius of that station. So that's the mainest, the hard hit area of town. That's where the most population is, per se, for the areas. So that's one thing ISO looks at is where that's stationed at as well. How many road miles it covers, and how many people are in those road miles. So.
Would you share about your living quarters too, and like what we have down there?
Yeah. So when we started this living quarters project, we came out of roughly 400 square foot. With no proper bathroom facilities, kitchen facilities. We were sharing bedrooms, had very minimal stuff in there. Now we've got full living quarters, 4 individual bedrooms, a nice bathroom with a shower facility in it, and it's just a lot better living arrangement, I should say.
You have a kitchen now?
Yeah, we have a kitchen now, so we can actually cook instead of using a toaster oven or a microwave. So.
Yeah.
It's been much needed for many years, so as long as I've been here anyways, and it's 14 years last week, so.
I know this is off of the station, but did we ever go any farther on finding a water truck for top of the mountain?
So after our ISO meeting, that's one thing I talked to him about as well. And he point blank told me, he said, I would not spend the money on that truck. He said, you have other needs that would be better and more useful versus having that vehicle. That would make it better for us. So he said he wouldn't waste the money on it.
So did he give you some things that we need to get to?
The biggest things that'll help us is personnel and some updates, some radio stuff, which we're working on, and then moving some vehicles around.
And then we can move like to a 2? ISO
Potentially,
rating or
it may
something?
take a little bit to get there, but yeah, all those numbers are looked at. They're all in this big formula, and it takes a lot of stuff to get there. But yeah, we didn't change or go down or up, so we stayed the same, which is not bad. So, but.
Nick, what number have we originally shot?
So if you remember, did an initial 600, and that was after going through many iterations with the architect that all kept coming in excess of what we had to spend. So going this way, keeping the 2 sites, rehabbing the existing city hall, and still utilizing the building that's gifted to the city by rehabbing that mostly with in-house forces. We should still have $550,000 left over to allocate towards other capital projects. So that puts us in really good shape. To answer your question specifically, we had $600,000 we had initially budgeted, which we can still, if we need to, if we absolutely need to, we can V that down closer to that number. It's all Ryan's fault.
What you put in there, Ryan?
I support what he wanted to do. We had in there to go with plywood walls and very basic finishes on the inside. We're now going to go with our panel on the inside. It's going to look really good, really professional. And then we also made some improvements with connecting breezeway, and then we also are going to connect the generator and transfer switch to that building in the event we do have an emergency. They can easily operate doors when everything's fully functional in that, which is a little bit extra electrical cost. I would keep that in there, but if we needed to V down for some reason, we had another idea we wanted to allocate funds to, we can pull the trigger on that and get back closer to that budget. But we're really in line with it.
And this new design for the base here also gives us a additional shower facility in there for decon purposes. We get
Right.
to the hall that's pretty nasty. We don't have to take it inside with us. We can get out there, take a shower, quick, get in new clothes, take clean clothes, wash our clothes, and actually in the living room. So
And not go to your living
not
room.
have to go.
Yeah, that's smart.
Right. Essentially, we're checking all those initial boxes. We're just spending about $800,000 less than what was estimated by keeping it all on one site.
And this is how many bays? 4? Is that
4.
4 bays? And so you would put the new truck and the ladder truck in there?
We have the brush truck, the rescue, the new engine, and the ladder truck.
Okay.
That's going to be still facing Cersei?
So basically, yeah, the front apron is roughly 52 foot or so from the building to the asphalt.
That's right.
So
And this is Brian and them? This is Brian and them doing it?
Yes.
This is like 4th or 5th project. It's got to be cheaper.
A package deal, that'd be great.
And it's like his 25th time to actually draw something up. I think, so, yeah.
I think it's a great investment for us, the fire department, the community, and the city as a whole for years and years and years to come. So.
I think it's needed, and we've been trying to get it sits outside, so.
I just love that y'all aren't gonna have to go home and bring all the toxins and all that to your family.
Coming from the wife of a fireman.
Well, we have an outside area
Yeah.
designated for that, but not everybody doesn't have that.
Yeah, I was just saying those are things the rest of us don't think about.
And we
So-
contract firemen from other cities, so they don't have a place to go and,
Yeah, a lot of, we have several firefighters that are part-time here that work elsewhere, and then this allows them with the new updates to the inside of the quarters. They can do their uniforms there, don't take them home and wash them. They can wash them while they're on shift, or if they do get dirty, they can wash them, change them, something new without having to take it outside of the fire department.
Time frames?
I think the contract put 220 days
What would your anticipated start date be? Have you thought about that?
So are we voting on the work order?
Ma'am?
We voting on the work order, or what do we?
Yes, that total amount. The 700.
700.
Where's it at?
$705,856.
There you go.
That.
Okay. And just to reiterate, this is not bond money.
It is not.
Yep.
Let the record show.
Yeah, let the record show. Okay, I'll vote on allocating the $705,856 for the building of the fire station.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there any chance it all's gonna come in less than that?
We can make it come in less than that.
Well,
That's
since
a
it's not
guaranteed
if we wanna-
maximum, so that's like, based on those drawings, that is guaranteed maximum price. So if we want to pull the trigger, like I said, on some VE options, if we want to reduce the finishes inside and make a couple of adjustments, we can make it come in less than that.
If you guys have gone through it and we didn't want it that way, I don't want to. I just wondered if it's gonna, potentially a chance that it would be less, or if you're just gonna take it just because we say it's okay.
Brian can speak to that.
So,
I'm glad something
so the
pushed.
last two that we did, we get back money on both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you
Without
go.
being asked.
It's a selection based on qualifications. The city advertises, they take applications from multiple contractors, they interview those contractors, they rank those contractors, they select a contractor. Brian was the selected contractor in this instance. So based off that scope of work, what Brian is issuing is a guaranteed maximum price. So the city has no exposure above that as long as we do not change the scope, we do not expand the scope. Now, if there are savings during the project, because he still has to, he needs to go solicit multiple quotes from subs and fulfill all those obligations. But if there are savings, those savings pass through to the city. So we wouldn't know that until we're in process, but yes, there is the potential it could come in less than that.
Any more questions? Vicki, when you're ready?
Louis Short,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges.
Yes.
Lane Tubbs.
Yes.
Ally Sugg.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Finally.
It's exciting.
Okay, splash pad.
All right, I'm gonna keep going.
You go,
Okay,
Nick.
splash pad, this is a bond project. It's a long anticipated splash pad. So here before you tonight, we have two contracts. One is for the equipment and one is for the installation. Again, we're gonna utilize construction manager method, same thing on this one. The equipment, we are proposing to direct purchase the equipment through Aquatics, through ACS. Cameron Woods here tonight, if you have any questions regarding that. Up in the right-hand corner, so this is a state bid method. So the state goes out every year and things that are kind of universal, parks and rec equipment, trucks, things like that, they put out mass bids and proposals for those things. So up in the top right corner, you'll see the master agreement. That's between the state and Landscape Structures. So we can utilize that as a purchasing cooperative to purchase the equipment outright, thereby avoiding contractor markup, and it's a little easier to make that selection. So that's what we're recommending on that. So that contract amount for the equipment, this is all the equipment. There's a schedule values where you can see the scope of the equipment, along with some schematics that we've worked on that detail where all the equipment is going to be placed. And that's shipping, taxes, sales tax, everything. That contract amount is. What are the lead times on the equipment?
So it's gonna ship before the end of the year, 2024. I'm estimating second to third week of December. That's about the closest they can get.
Which is going to be perfect from my standpoint, because that gives the contractor plenty of time to get all the site work done, because there's a lot of work that has to be done before equipment's ready to be taken delivery of and then installed. So that would be contract one. Contract two is for the installation. Again, you'll see a site plan there for what we're proposing. There's a lot of, there's a large concrete deck area. Once again, I know we've talked about this in multiple meetings, but I'll reiterate it again. Our initial bond funding for this splash pad was $600,000. And where we're going to land tonight, at least if you so elect, the combined amount of these two proposals is 1.4 million and some change. The reason we're able to do that is because we engaged in the ESCO process. We went through a state program for the entire community center and aquatic center to improve energy efficiency. And that's a program run by the Arkansas Energy Office. The city of Heber is the first ones to ever take advantage of this program in the state of Arkansas. We had $750,000 allocated for improvements to the community center and the aquatic center. Most of that was going to go to just replacing the dehumidification equipment over at the aquatic center. Through going through the state program, we were able to improve lighting quality in both buildings, along with the city hall and the fire department, utilize the energy efficiency savings to take out a loan that will pay back the full value of everything that we're fixing to spend on this project. So all the lighting improvements, along with the dehumidification, upgraded controls, by lowering those energy expenses, that pays the note on that bill. So we had $750 that we're able to add to the $600, along with the other savings we've had to get to this greatly expanded splash pad. So we're not just running over budget. This is all bond funds we've just been able to utilize by efficiently working and leveraging other programs.
And that 750 was guaranteed, right?
The 750 was part of the
Yeah,
bond fund.
but it's guaranteed that it will pay itself back.
Well, no, we're spending more than 750. We got a $1.6 million loan
No,
through
I'm
the
talking
Arkansas
about
Energy Office.
The
But to answer your-
750 that we got though, through the energy audit,
funds, and we can utilize. We freed up the 750,
Yeah.
but we got $1.6 million that we're able to spend now, and the energy efficiency is paying back 1.6, and that just freed up 750 for capital projects. So that project is a standalone. It cash flows. It's guaranteed. Yes, it's guaranteed. So if for some reason it doesn't do what the contractor says it would do, then they write us a check at the end of the year for the balance, and the city's made whole. The city's not exposed in any way on that loan. So yes. So back to the installation.
Sorry
So
about that.
the installation contract is proposal is for $868,902. That's to get all the equipment installed. Once again on that, that's the same thing. It's a guaranteed maximum price. We have quite a few value engineering items. If we need to, for some reason, cut or reduce scope, we can do that. We've got some really nice turf areas in this. We can eliminate or reduce some of those scopes. Same thing we can do some things with sails. We've got a really cool, you'll see on the drawings, I think, a retaining wall in there. We can do a less cool retaining wall in there if we need to. So I think we're going to be in good shape on that project. We still have a lot of work to do because we're interfacing quite a bit with aquatics on the treatment side, and then we're working the site plan and all the different finishes and elevations. So there's a lot of engineering that still left to complete, but we're close enough that we've discussed it, and Brian's good issuing a guaranteed maximum price on this scope. I don't anticipate that it will expand. And Brian, once again, I mean, what are you looking like timeline on this if we were to?
The contract up to 270 days.
Yeah.
That's not knowing exactly when the equipment arrives. What we would do first is get everything ready for it, and then we have to set the equipment after it gets there.
Okay.
Is there anything in the plan for like a concession stand outside or anything other than this, like more seating areas as well? Because if we have 100 people there, just parents, you know, I don't think this is gonna seat, you know, like, do we kind of have like an overflow area kind of planned out or anything?
We're going to utilize the original concession area that's built into the aquatic center. I don't know that anybody even remembers that it's there, but it's on the exterior wall, the east side of the building. It's already there. The facility's there. It's got windows. I mean, all it has to do is have the equipment moved in. So we don't have to do anything with concession other than start stocking things and, you know, get it going.
Okay.
As far as to answer your question on seating, we're going to have, I mean, it's a lot bigger than it looks like on the drawing. I believe the splash pad is about 8,000 square feet, went some change, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, with another almost 7,000 square feet of turfed area on the upper deck that we're looking at, and then another 4,000 or 5,000 square feet on the lower on this side. So I mean, it is a large area.
So will we put a fence or what's the?
We will have some fencing around the perimeter. We'll have fencing in between the the community center and the aquatic center. It's not going to be security fencing. Think decorative fence, 42 inches high. The plan is to have folks come in and pay for entry in the community center. That'll be ingress. We're going to cut a new door in out of the lobby onto the splash pad. That way they can access that, all the changing and restroom facilities over in the aquatic center where everything's wet, because we don't want them tracking wet kids back through this building, and then they can exit out that side.
Okay.
That way we still have full visibility for the staff in the community center. The aquatic center can keep eyes on things and serve both sides along with the concession area. Additionally, the way that, it's not a great detail on there yet, the way that retaining wall is set up is that whole thing will also serve as seating.
Yeah.
So there should be ample, if possible. I would love to get another shade or sail in there or two. We're going to work through some of those items as we go. Once again, guaranteed maximum price. We'll see what we can VE in and what we can place as we get further into design. We're close enough to get a guaranteed maximum in, but we still have quite a bit of fine tuning to do.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned the concession stand has been there.
That's right.
Weren't there other things set up in anticipation back when we built all this?
Yes, there
And how is
were.
that going to play into?
It's complicated, but we're working through it. So initially,
Are we going to use it or not?
no, we're going to use it. That's one of the things that we're working through in great detail. So initially, when this building was constructed, I'm sure everybody will remember that there was a splash pad / aquatics park promised out here in this yard where we're building this. For whatever reason, budget cuts and inflation, not dissimilar to what the environment we're in now, just that part wasn't able to.
The tax base wasn't what it.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, didn't work. But that being said, the basic infrastructure to serve it was put into the aquatic center. There was a surge pit, there was piping that that stubbed out to the outside of the building that we can utilize, along with places for pumps and control panels. There were some elevation challenges to that, but we, through working with aquatics, have been able to work through that, and I know we are. We're still going to be able to utilize all of that without having to place new infrastructure and let that go to waste. That was one of those things that was really important, I think, to everybody, is utilize what we have, and I think we've been able to accomplish that. So no new tanks or anything of that nature.
So we got kids in the park next June.
Yeah, Brian?
No pressure.
No, I mean, I think we can probably reasonably accomplish that.
Yes.
If equipment does show up in December, past tonight, that will get all of this stuff into manufacturing. There's really nothing, I think, holding him up from starting to do some site work out here and get it ready. I mean, there is a tremendous amount of work to do. We still got to get health department approval. We have a lot of steps to get through, but we can start moving. We should have ample time to get there.
And what was the time frame on all the equipment?
You said December.
December?
Put some bows on it, and it can be our Christmas present.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
I gotta
Good
get
job.
going.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure.
So we need to vote on that work order?
Yes, and I'm trying to decide if we need to do them separate.
Yes,
For
you
the
need to do them
equipment
separate. They're
and
two
the-
separate contracts.
There you
You
go,
need
there's my
to do
answer.
one for the equipment and then a second one for the installation.
Okay, so the equipment will be, the total that's listed here, $578,624.73. So I'll need a motion for this contract first.
Make a motion to approve it.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Vicki, when you're ready?
Ally Sugg,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Motion carried. And so then the next
Installation?
contract for the work is going to be $903,799.27.
Actually, he's got eight
Hey,
sixty-eight
whoa,
nine
whoa,
oh
whoa,
He does?
two.
that number.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The GMAC.
868.
868-902.
Yeah,
Great.
the red.
Okay,
Yeah.
even better.
Make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any discussion? Vicki?
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Ally Sugg,
Yes.
Motion carried.
It's a great night for
We
Heber
are
Springs.
excited.
5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Woohoo.
spending the crap out of some money.
Okay. Can I keep going?
What else you got?
Okay.
We don't have any more money.
Well, let's have more money tonight. We'll wait till September. Okay, so first thing is just a quick update on Weddingford. They poured the first run of sidewalk today, so we're down past Seven Springs. I think that project's looking good at this point, so I expect that to continue. You know, we'll probably wrap up that in October.
They were still working on it when I came up about 5:30, 5:45.
Yeah,
It's
it's
looking
looking,
really good.
it's looking good. So
Yeah, it
I think
does.
that's
Yeah.
greatly needed, given the traffic, especially the foot traffic with kids walking to and from. I mean, it's going to be great. So that is going well. Second thing is, I believe last month I told you we were waiting on RDOT for some information to get started on downtown. The Thursday before last, I had a meeting with the new district engineer. There's a new district engineer for District 5. His name is Alex Ruths, nice guy, and all of his lieutenants. And we have gotten agreement on the RDOT is going to pay for their part underneath the highway, which is perfectly reasonable. The thing that we're waiting up now on feedback from them on is whether they want to design and construct their own improvements separate from our improvement, or they want us to design and bid it all in one contract. So we have supplied them with all of the information they need to make that decision. I fully expect to have some level of answer back in the next 30 days from them on that. So that being said, once we hear back, we can finalize that. But as you remember, we also had another really good piece of news that came in June, which was the fact that we had applied for this BRIC grant several years ago for downtown stormwater. It was rejected, and now it's part of a congressional direct spending program. So the city now has a $6 million grant to add to the stormwater, which is really fortunate because due to the economic nature or what's happened over the last couple of years with inflation, we were going to run short and only get to accomplish one of the storm projects that we were projecting. That was going to be 3rd Street. So at this point, we should be able to get 3rd Street, 5th Street, the 2 uptown projects here at Lowhawk and Trailwood. We're going to be able to add into that Copperfield and then some Sulphur Creek improvements. We have done a lot of work with FEMA and a lot of coordination to get that application complete. It's a little bit of a wonky process, but we are now complete on that. So I do not have an award letter so that that will be a separate engineering project, which is going to be of benefit to the city because we're going to be able to get all the construction engineering done along with the expanded scope. I don't have that for you tonight because we don't have an agreement with them. So that will be in September, but they are going to issue that award letter on August 30th. So there are only 2 other projects in the state that were awarded this. The other one was in North Little Rock. They're trying to get theirs wrapped up, and then they'll issue both at the same time. The final thing I would say on that, as all that works together, because it's gotten a little bit complicated. Initially, if you remember, when we were scoping the downtown beautification and the stormwater project, we were wanting to take Main Street through those couple of blocks from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. We submitted a request to RDOT in January to take over the road. Just give us that stretch of highway through there. They have rejected that, which wasn't a surprise to me. They also do not want to go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. That's the initial feedback I've gotten. Now, it wasn't a hard no, but what I would say, I take that back. It was a hard no. But if there's ever a time to push, if you wanted to push and make an effort to do that, if anybody was really passionate about it, now's the time to make that call.
So, I mean, if we're telling them that it's not safe, that people drive too fast down Main Street, and that businesses are closing because people don't want to park on the street and go to those shops, that's not good enough? Like, we can't do 2 lanes and a turning lane just like up 25B?
I agree with everything you just said.
I
and
think
it should
he's
be good
saying
enough.
we need to probably send a letter or
Yeah.
something.
Like, so what, yeah, I mean, did they know those things? Did they ask those things, or they just said no?
They don't want to break it up, partly because they don't want to break up the fact that it's a state highway and it goes all the way through, so they don't want to give it up.
Well, that's part of it.
I don't care if they give it up, we just want to go to 2 lanes and a turning
And I've asked that. I don't care if we take it over, we don't take it
Yeah,
over.
I don't
think
care.
we
I
just for our downtown businesses and for safety, we want to slow that traffic down some way. And even if we can't go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, as long as we can slow that traffic down
Yeah.
from a safety standpoint and to support those businesses, I think we could find a way to be happy if we could do that. And there's multiple ways of achieving that. What I would say is the highway department cares about traffic flow. That's their main thing. They want traffic to move, and they want it to move quickly. Now, once again, I don't think a letter is necessarily, I think we would need to be a meeting that gets set up, and I think it would be all of you in that. I think get probably Eric involved in that as well. But that's only if you're really passionate about climbing up this hill, because it's going to be a hill to climb. I mean, their rationale was, one, not breaking the highway up. Their other rationale was they wanted, how they put it, contiguous access from downtown to the airport and to, I think, JFK Park. My response to that when I talked to them on the phone was, we have a bypass for all of those reasons you just listed. It can solve the traffic flow. We can get to anywhere. You don't have to come through downtown in order to get anywhere you want in Heber Springs. So I think we have our own argument to make if we so want to do that. All I'm saying is we're at that point where we need to get moving in a direction. If there's ever a time to do it, if just speak now or forever hold your peace on that issue is all I'm saying.
So the part where they go underneath the road, does it need to be them owning the road for them to do that?
Well, they technically own the road. That was I don't even know what we were negotiating about when they were, we were talking about whether or not they were going to pay for it. I mean, it's their infrastructure. Yeah, of course you're going to pay for it. That was, and we got an agreement on that. So it's just going to be one of those things we're going to address very directly if we want it.
I think if you got most of the downtown business owners involved, they would get behind that.
And we have a meeting with them set up on Monday. So,
This
because
Monday?
we need to
Yes.
address some downtown beautification issues, because what I'm thinking on this, at this point, that's the other thing we haven't, again, we've talked about it before, but I'll say it again. While we were waiting on some of these things to get worked out, we threw our hat in the ring for a TAP grant, and we got another $500,000 coming from RDOT for downtown beautification. And, combined with the $350,000 from the bond. So, at the end of the day, by the time we get our savings from Weddingford and all, what we saved on Huntington, we're gonna have $1 million downtown beautification project, and we started off with 350. So we've almost doubled our bond benefit at the end of the day. But those are just some fine point details we need to work out. We need to work them out quickly. If y'all would like to attend that meeting that's downtown, if you could announce when that is.
9 o'clock,
When?
Monday morning in front of the courthouse.
Monday morning?
Yep. I think we
Will you
need
send an email
to,
out or text
The-
out that morning?
We start a petition or something?
I'll come.
I think we need to hear our folks and then make a decision about how to progress forward. But
Yeah.
that door's gonna close real quick if we don't do something. And that's it.
Thank you. Get to work. Okay. You've been
In
working.
other words, don't stop work.
Continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't be able to make,
Nice work, Nick.
That's okay.
I'll be there I'll already be there, but for work.
9 a.m.
Get your money and leave.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, look at it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks, guys. Okay. Next up, we've got Michael McBride here to speak about our bonds. It's all you.
Good to see everybody.
Hey.
I prepared a little packet of information. I think I handed out to everyone. Just to kind of give you a little background information, I was meeting with the mayor a couple months back, covering this information as we do from time to time, and offered to come up here and kind of update all of y'all, make sure there weren't any questions. It's been about 3 years since we've issued, a little over 3 years since we issued the sales tax bonds. So I wanted to give you a picture of your outstanding debt, what it looks like now, all of your outstanding debt, and then just give you a real brief overview of financing options that you may have, not to say that that's what you're looking at, just to give you a general idea on all of that as well. And again, I'm gonna not walk through this packet line by line. A lot of this would be, it's got some good information for you to take home. My contact information is on that front page if you have any questions. I would turn your attention to page 4 to start the conversation. So this outlines the sales tax collections of the city. It specifically looks at the 0.625% that is dedicated to the repayment of your 2021 bond issue. And so what I would show you here is how the collections have grown from when we issued to where we are now. If you will recall, that tax is required for all of the collections to go to the repayment of the debt. So as we did when we issued those bonds, if that tax were to grow, as I told you, which as it has continued to do, those bonds and that debt will continue to pay off at an expedited rate. And so that's kind of what we'll walk through here. And so give you kind of a baseline there to look at, where we've seen your tax collections grow. Just really in a couple of years, we've seen some real nice growth. So that I thought was a real benefit. If you turn to page 5, this gives you an outlook of your sales and use tax bonds. So as a reminder, we issued 2 series of bonds. We did the 2021 A's and the 2021 B's. The A's were done as a taxable piece. So if you'll recall, for those of you that were on the council when we did this transaction, interest rates were extremely low. Those of you that weren't on the council, you can probably remember where rates were back then. Rates were so low that your previous bond issue, the 2013 bonds, had rates that were high enough that even though they weren't what we call currently callable, we were able to use taxable monies to go out and refinance those bonds. So that's why the A's were done taxable, was a big component of that, about $6.5 million of the initial issuance was the refinancing of the old bond, but we're doing it at a lower rate. It just so happened the taxable rates were so much lower, we were able to do that. The other component of that is the Parks and Rec. Your bond counsel at the time thought there might be some tax implications, and with as low as rates were, it didn't make any sense to really risk anything. So that's why you see the construction amount there that was generated, the $4,085,000. But the total amount, you can see that balance there is still at $9,990,000. That's because there was the refinancing component associated with that. And I'm looking at that box, the first line under the blue area there, to show you the 21As and the 21Bs. So $5,140,000 construction was generated for the Bs. You can see the total projects that were approved by voters down there for you in the middle of the page. The current balance, I've moved back up to the box there, you can see we've started to pay down on this debt. So we initially issued $16,250,000. And as you can see there outlined in that paragraph for you, the A's had a true interest cost of a 2.89%, and the long end, the B's, actually had a 1.85%. Those bonds were issued with an initial term of 26 years combined. The A's were shorter because we tried to do the taxable as short as possible because the rate was higher. We wrapped the B's around it. But 26 years was the length of time for the total bond issue. We now project that with your current collection rates, as long as rates don't go down, and this is not rates increasing, and you've been increasing it over 7% as I showed you on the same page, but just a conservative look, if we maintain our current collection rate, these bonds will pay off in 2032. So the debt would be completely paid at that point. When we issued these bonds, so to give you a concept of what that growth has meant to you, when we issued these bonds, we projected that, and again, we do it at 0% growth, just to be conservative with our investors. We projected that to pay off in 2036. So we've already shortened up the repayment quite a bit on this transaction. So again, as long as we still see collections increase or stay, that can continue to decrease. So very pleased with that. Also, to state again, you have an optional redemption date on these bonds of 2028. If you will recall, that's what we keyed off of with the previous transaction. That is when you can look at refinancing something like this and we're paying off with low interest rates. I don't think we'll ever refinance these bonds. But also something for the council to think about. It could be an opportunity to restructure. It is going back to voters. It doesn't have to be right there at the 28th. If collections really pick up, it may be before that. But it does say at that point you could look at restructuring that debt, going back to voters saying, here's some additional projects we want, extending the tax if necessary, and getting construction projects in here for additional projects. So similar to what we did in 21, you have that opportunity again, probably in 3 to 4 years, depending on how collections. So that kind of gives you a good idea there of those bonds. Again, there's a lot more additional information in that page. Page 6 looks at your water and sewer revenue bonds. So these are issued through your utility. You can see the interest rates associated with these. So same thing here. These were done for system infrastructure there as well. The 21s were actually a refinancing of a bond issue that did just construction projects. So 16 was refinanced. So oftentimes you'll see that because these don't have the what we call fast pay mechanism. There's no tax collection. It's just for rate. So these are going to pay off typically to the state of maturity unless they're refinanced or restructured, things of that nature. Page 7 just gives you what we call a debt service coverage analysis. So this looks at the revenues that are being generated from your water and sewer system that would be what we would consider available for debt service and comparing it to your debt service. You have a coverage of about 2 times. That means you have double the amount of revenue coming in needed for your payment. That's not to say that you have this extra money lying around. That's the money that we, as an underwriter, could utilize to go out and generate sales as well. So a very healthy coverage. So I think that's something that's also a positive. Questions on any of that? If not, I would turn your attention to page 13. And this is just sort of a pivot. This isn't your bonds anymore. This is just to give you really just kind of a general overview of the avenues a city in Arkansas can go down when you're looking at maybe financing capital projects. Now, obviously, there's all sorts of different ways, but really, the easiest way in my mind to look at it is you have, and that's what you've got broken down here on page 13, you have a tax-backed issue or you have a revenue-backed issue. So it's either backed by a specific tax, like your sales tax bonds, or it's backed by a specific revenue, like your water and sewer bonds. So the revenues of the water and sewer system is what repays that debt. The funds generated from the tax that the city has levied is what pays your sales and use tax bond. So that distinction is important, because in the state of Arkansas, if you are a tax-backed bond, for the most part, you're going to have a vote of the people. If it is a revenue-backed bond, for the most part, you are not. And so that's really kind of also the distinction I think councils like to make as well, is determining which avenue you want to go down. Do you have the time? Because with new election laws, it could be that you need the funds quicker because you're only allowed to go twice a year now. So there's a lot of things that go into making those decisions. But really the big kind of headline here is tax-backed vote, revenue-backed not vote. And obviously, much more detail would have to go into it, but I think that gives you some color. Page 14 shows you all the different tax-backed bond issues. So you have A&P tax for the advertising and promotion of the city, often referred to as the hamburger tax. You have Amendment 101 bonds. These used to be known as Amendment 91 bonds. This is the revenues that are being generated from the statewide half-cent sales tax. So cities have the ability to, although very few have taken advantage of this, you can go out and pledge those revenues and issue debt off of that. It does take a vote of the people, although it is a tax that has already been levied, so it's not a tax increase. Cities can also use property taxes as a way to secure debt. It does require a vote. All revenues from the property tax must go to the repayment of the debt. And then sort of the catch-all that cities use all the time when it comes to taxes, your sales and use tax, as I think y'all are very familiar with. Your revenue-backed bonds on page 15. You've got utility revenues that we've discussed. Another common that we're seeing a lot more of is a franchise fee transaction. So these are the monies that are generated off of the use of utilities public right-of-ways. And so these are monies that can be pledged towards debt that do not require a vote of the people that are within the city's current revenue. So the real thing here with these is, you've got to make sure the affordability of the payment. Obviously, with anything, the affordability of the payment is important. But if you're levying a new tax, it's really not nearly as important because the tax should be sufficient enough to make the payment. Here, these are funds that are already being collected by the city, so you're looking at carving out from your current budget. The final one listed there for you is an Amendment 78 financing. These are short-term financings. You probably utilize these for fire trucks. You can only go out 5 years for this type of financing. It is only, you're only allowed to go out 5 years, and it's just a general pledge of the city's revenues. So that's kind of why you're restricted in the length of time in which you do it. So there's all sorts of avenues that you can go down. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Because a lot of times what you're financing is going to tell you what revenue stream you can use. And so there's obviously a lot of complexities to this, but at the end of the day, helping you through that process, I think, is what we've always really prided ourselves in. And so if there are projects you want to discuss at any time, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, obviously, we're here to help any way we can. The only other thing that I'll touch on before I see if there's any questions is just a real general comment on interest rates. I think that's kind of always the question I normally get, where are rates? And it's challenging because each city, each issuer has its own credit profile, so it's hard to really say this is the rate. But what I do think the real big headline, and when I'm talking to officials a lot, that they don't understand is, that the mortgage rates you're seeing, that's not tax exempt muni rates. I mean, we're seeing 30-year bond issues get done at 4.25%, 4.5%. So the cost of capital for something like this is still relatively cheap. It's not like what we got in 2021. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going back there. But if you look historically, interest rates are still very affordable for this type of borrowing. So I think that's always really important for officials to know when you're thinking about your projects, because you think about, oh, interest rates are, I see a mortgage rate, it's 8.5% or 8%. If I'm borrowing for something, it's not the case for these types of borrowing. So it can be very, very favorable for the city.
That's great.
Happy to answer any questions if you have any. Again, all my contact information is on the front page of that. You can email me, call me, text me, whatever. I'm always available to discuss it.
Great. Thank you, Michael. We
Thank you.
appreciate your time and appreciate you coming all this way.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to new business. We'd like to appoint J.B. Langley to the P&Z Commission. J.B., who?
I don't know
Oh,
him.
Andy's on here. Huh?
I don't know him. Does he have a background in what?
Nothing. This is JB. He's
Oh.
taken,
He's
his
a
dad
good
used to
dude.
be on P&Z.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he works here at the community center.
Yeah, I guess I never knew your last name. But I knew you had a friend, knew JB, yeah.
And he would like to serve on our planning and zoning commission.
Okay.
So we just need a motion to appoint him.
I'll make a motion that we appoint him.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? Vicki?
Jim Lay,
Yes.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, JB, for willing to serve on our commission.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, ball field maintenance quote. So we did apply for a fun park grant, and that applies to fields 1, 3, 5, and 7. We are asking for this quote for maintenance for field 6, which is the high school field. Right now, we can't work on any of the other fields since they're under that grant process. We should find something out in October if that grant makes it to the second round for funding.
Is this what we saw? We saw this last month, but we had like 2 quotes.
Approximately, yes. So I asked for quotes for Field 1, which is the softball side, and Field 6, which is the high school baseball field, and also the Babe Ruth field that they use. And so this is just an updated version of that quote. It's actually a little bit less than what they gave us. I don't know if it was last month or the month before.
I think it was last
But
month.
nothing's been cut out of it.
Nothing's been cut out of it, no. No, but I don't know if the price has just gone down, dirt has gone down. We're looking at, I believe it's 24 tons. Should know, yes, 24 tons of dirt as needed. Just keep in mind that we don't have a drain system on that field. While this is gonna help tremendously, it's not gonna, if it rains all, cats and dogs, then we'll still have rainouts on the field. However, we do have about 4 inches, 5 inches worth of dirt that needs to be put on that field, and that's what this will do. And being able to do this now will get it in before the high school season, which will start before we find out, we wait till October, and don't get that, then, we're almost too late once high school baseball starts season,
So have we looked into drainage?
We have, but just kind of shoot from the hip quotes that we have, drainage is not cheap. It's going to be very, very expensive.
Like
But the main thing
$27,000
is-
Like
expensive?
$100,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the main thing is the field's lower than,
The dirt's lower than the grass.
yeah, the dirt's lower than the
Yeah.
grass.
Well, I didn't know if we needed to do both at the same time, bring in drainage and then bring in dirt.
I don't think we do the project without completing the drainage. It's just.
Feel like we're just
to me, we're
putting
just
a Band-Aid.
Yeah. It just, to me, the drainage is, I just can't imagine having a city baseball field, backed by our city should be what it's supposed to be. and not be able to use it, efficiently as needed.
Well, that's great. We can get some more quotes for drainage.
I can get firm quotes for drainage.
That's what I'd like to see,
Yeah.
that,
Do it all.
because I'd hate to do this and then get a quote that was like, oh, that was only 35,000, we could have put drainage out there too.
And this is something I was short in that I admit, coming from my background, didn't have a lot of dirt work type of experience. But in this process, I've learned that each field needs about $3,000 to $5,000 worth of dirt. Just erosion, everything like that, just kind of takes it out. I know we haven't done this since we've been here, since I've been here. So I think this is probably 8 years worth of probably not putting dirt on it, and that's kind of where we just bring it up to par to where it's at. I agree with you that the thing I feel like, and I could be wrong, but the dirt is so low where it's at right now. Putting this on top of it's not going to wash off or anything like that. It's not going to hurt. But long term, yes, we do need to look at drainage options.
And there's no chance that drainage was installed and it's blocked up or backed up or anything? Do we know there's-
Everyone that I've talked to who's been here longer than I have says there's no drainage.
Okay.
And we can't find any
Those fields used to,
out drainage or anything like that.
those fields used to drain within 24, 48 hours when we first did this, but
Yeah, and I actually met with sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I met with the new high school athletic director, and apparently he was a baseball coach here about 12 years ago. He said they actually used the fields the first year that they were built. And, he obviously walked and was like, yeah, y'all haven't been putting any dirt, putting anything on this in a long time, so.
but the drainage, as far as I can recall, they used to do very, very well. It's Field 6, I don't know.
There's just been nothing done for so
No,
long.
it
It's
hasn't.
just,
No.
what do you think about the service contract portion of it?
This was actually a little bit cheaper than what he gave me. I think it might have been last
I think
month,
it
I'm not
was
sure.
last
And it was definitely cheaper than the other one. This is Jeff, which I know JP knows, and kind of even just hearing JP kind of say his name, and he knows about it in this world. He seems to be very good at everything that he does when it comes to these things. So he would be someone to talk to also about more defined on like what would you do with drainage in this type of situation as well. So.
Can I ask, Nick, what was that guy that had the drainage system that basically almost put the drain down and filled it back in at the same time? What was that guy?
I never talked to a specific vendor on it, but there's a product that's basically a verb for instrument, because it's perforated pipe. I can do some more research on it, but I've never taken any further than that discussion.
So I'm with Ally, we need the drainage, but if it wasn't lower than the grass, it would drain to start with. I don't know that we want to hold up on not doing it.
I can attest that when we had water running this past year, which we actually just now turned our sprinkler system on, so that's how wet it has been this year. But I would be out at the shortstop area, and there would be water literally about an inch or two over my ankle. So there's that much standing water just sitting out on a field, and you can use pumps, you can do whatever you want, but that water saturates, and then all of a sudden it's sunny and nice for 3 days in a row with 85, and they have a game schedule, and they're like, why can't we play? And it's because it rained 4 days ago because there was that much water on that field. So this dirt will at least bring that up and push that water more than likely into the outfield. That, it's still going to be wet, but it's probably going to be played.
I mean, but if you put drainage in, it doesn't go in the infield, does it? I mean,
So,
doesn't
can
it
you
drain
speak
from the
to
outfield?
Drainage by chance at all?
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, in yard drainage, basically we push the dirt back, we lower the grade, we bring in the perforated pipe, and it goes in different angles, and then you have a one that catches it all and daylights it on the other side at a lower space, and you cover that with gravel. Then you put a foot of topsoil on that, and then it seeps into the gravel, seeps into the pipe, and goes out. So when you say 100,000, I don't Yeah, I don't know if that's.
I want to say, what he actually said, I always try to overshoot, but I think what he said, 75 to 100,000.
Yeah.
And he was just like, that's strict, like, we would have to do the little laser grading with the different things like that, just to see exactly where they need it, where it's, deficient, how low it actually is in certain areas to make sure they get those areas.
Is that per field?
That was just field 6. Field 6 is the one that we have the most trouble on. And it is our high school field, it's the one, and also it's one that we play the least amount. We have the least amount of games on that field and with our Babe Ruth League as well. So, I mean, like our other fields, we could play on field 7, field 5, and field 8, while game 6, on field 6, the games can be rained out. And it actually sits lower. It's the field that sits lower up from field 5 and field 7. So water runs off those fields and also gets pushed down onto that field.
You know those fields when you're coming into Conway on the left? Softball fields? They had an issue with water, and they did some stuff. It might be worth it to reach out to those. Huh?
Yeah, they turf their field.
Conway.
But
It has
before
drainage
it-
underneath the turf.
Before that, I don't know, it might be an idea to reach out to that parks director.
Definitely.
I mean, something needs to be done. I just would hate to put, $36,000 into something and it still have a foot of mud, like up to your knee mud, like water on it, and you still can't play on it. Like, I think that we at least look into
And
it.
I agree with her. But this is something that will have to be done anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, eventually we're going to spend this money on this exact way. It's time for that mound to be rebuilt. It's time for the home plate area needs to be built up, brought back up, just like in shortstop, the home plate area is 2 inches lower than the grass, so water just sits there.
I've heard everything that is wrong with that field.
Oh, I'm sure you have, yeah.
My husband coached on that field this year, and we,
Yeah.
and so did Lewis.
Yeah.
I know
So
everything
you're
that's wrong with
very
that
familiar
field.
with it. And that's why it's not going to fix all the problems. It's not going to do that drainage, but it's a good start. And this
Yeah.
is money that we would be spending if we did. I mean, the problem with the high school season also, if we don't do something now, we're not going to be able to do it again until this time next year also, because the seasons run so long. So, like, this is something that we would be doing next year.
I agree we need to look into drainage, but Ally, I think we need to do it now.
Well, it's dry enough. Rain's
Would
not a
Jeff
threat
be
now.
willing to, I bet Jeff would be willing to come up there and meet you and I. We could look at it.
Definitely, yeah.
He's here all the time with me with the different situations, so
Yep.
we could meet up.
Okay.
When they built that ball field, it was lasered in, and I don't know where the dirt went now.
It's been played on for
Does it get to the
ever.
parking lot?
The dirt?
Yeah.
No, it's just erosion, and I mean, little things like I've been on a baseball field my entire life, but while Jeff was out there, there was a guy who was dragging the field, and as he was dragging the field, he started telling me about, like, look how fast he's going. He's going too fast, and how, there was like a big tornado dirt thing. He was like, that's where your dirt's going. And obviously, windy days up here, when things like that, like, that's where that dirt goes. And it all makes sense when you think about it, and when he's telling you, but you don't think about that until you, like, actually see it.
10 years
Did-
later, yeah.
Did Darren give any indication that they're gonna be willing to, like, step up and chip in more, or?
Not really. Well, he kind of went back. I guess he's of that age when, in exact words that he used were, I remember when this was built, we were told that we were not going to have to pay for it, like we were never going to have to do anything with it, that we were going to be able to play on it, and then we started charging gate fees and started doing things like that. Like, he took us, this was a promise to the city, similar to what I've heard about this facility. It was supposed to be free for residents, then we started charging membership fees and so forth. That's the kind of route he took with that when I asked him if they would be willing to chip in.
So they pay $4,000 per year?
Just up
Per-
to 10.
Oh, we did? Well,
Yes.
$10,000 per field?
10,000 for,
Two.
no.
Two
so
fields.
for
Yeah,
one
we
and
went up
six.
2,000.
That's, but they use 3, right?
Yeah,
Softball
they-
uses
They do use
both.
3 at times when one's
So
not.
they use 3 fields for $10,000 a year.
It was 8, We upped it to 10.
So we
this
did
past-
up it, okay.
Yeah,
I
upped
thought
to
it was
10.
8, yeah.
And just kind of speaking with some people around and realizing how much this costs, I mean, it really should be.
And that's a good deal for what it costs to
50.
take care of
Yeah.
the field.
I mean,
Not more.
That's a
they
good
would
deal.
have to go build one baseball field for $1 million,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess. So it's a pretty good deal
good
to
deal.
get 3 baseball
Young-
fields for
Young
$2,000
businessmen,
a
this is
year.
for 300,000 if you want it.
I'm sure that doesn't even pay for the chemicals that we have to use on.
Well, I mean, if
grass.
we put, for instance, ryegrass is the green grass that grows in February, it's green in February when baseball season is. We spent $12,000 just on ryegrass last year. So they're not even paying, for their fields to be green, they're not even paying that amount. So that's something that me and the mayor, we negotiated that, but we need to go ahead and go back and look at that. Like I said, now I admit, that's something that I'm learning about, the whole dirt work and the grass and that side of
And
that.
didn't we start, because I don't think it's always been that case, but they were charging gate for their games.
But the superintendent is no longer doing that as well.
Okay, but we let them, if they want to, they're allowed to, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so
essentially,
they
yes,
could-
there's nothing, yeah, there's
So they
nothing.
could recoup that money somehow, or a little bit of it.
We need to
I
do it.
mean, but they were, I guess not last year, but they were the year before.
It's just the general maintenance of that. Like I said, we have 8 fields, 7 are usable. Field 2 is the only one that's, the dimensions, I'm not exactly sure what happened there when we built that 12 years ago, however long. But I mean, we're looking at, honestly, it's $2,000 to $5,000 a year in dirt and conditioner that we should be applying to fields every single year, so.
And when are we supposed to hear back on that other grant?
October.
October?
And that's just if we make it to the second phase.
Yeah.
So, did you say we are not allowed to be doing stuff on the fields? Because I am
On
getting
those
complaints right
fields.
now that there's like grass growing up on the infield in the softball fields or something.
I mean,
We took
not
care
big,
of that.
Oh.
big construction since.
On
We
the,
But y'all
applied
could be
for those
mowing
for that
them and
grant.
taking.
Even, yeah, so we'll still mowing and maintaining, so we have the ABI, we have a new group out there, a new supervisor as well, and they're learning how to use the ABI. So if you actually went out there right now, the only field that looks horrible was field 6, the high school baseball field, but they're learning how to use that equipment and pull up those weeds and so forth. So we'll then make sure, especially since we're playing fall ball, we have a new fall ball program
Yeah.
for both baseball and softball. But with that, like, we're gonna, do that twice a week is when we're gonna drag and do things like that. But I think, like I said, nothing against our parks maintenance crew, but normally, like now, this is a 4-year degree, that goes into turf management. Whereas we get guys from just different backgrounds, so like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then you walk in, you're mixing chemicals to kill weeds or whatever it might be, and you're like, oh, this is a little bit different than maybe I thought it was, type of deal. But they're learning, I think they're doing a great job, and like I said, it looks a lot better now than it did even in season.
Yeah. Do you have this in your budget? Like, have you looked?
Well, we have the O&M, well, that's what, we have the O&M
We have
money that's,
a large O&M
So it's,
Fund.
so he has
funds.
To get the dirt.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, I wanna say it's 812,000. The money that we spent on the nets, which was a big safety issue, and got them fixed, we've already made that money back, so.
and the canvases or metal, whatever we're gonna replace that with, where you at on that?
So those are, I forgot I think it was $4,000 a piece on those, so I think that if we wanted to do all of them at one time, it'd be around $65,000. If we wanted to just do those in pieces.
And that was canvas?
That's with the canvas, yeah.
Oh,
And I know you mentioned something about the metal.
Yeah.
It'd
That's
be
something-
permanent.
And they're nice. I saw those at Conway too.
Yeah, it'd be permanent. I think you should look at that.
Okay.
So I do think we should go ahead and do it, because like you said, it needs to be done either way,
Yeah,
but I
we're
would
not
like
gonna
to
lose anything
see.
by doing this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be money spent this year versus money spent next year.
I think
Do you
we need to
have
look at drainage, so.
Do you have to give him answer on the service quote as well?
I'm sorry,
Do you have to give him answer on the service quote as well?
No, like this, he's working in Cersei this week, but he told me that if we decide to do this, he could get this done by the end of September.
I have a question.
I know we gotta do the drainage, but I think we need to do this.
Well, and it's getting close to budget time, so I
Yeah.
think if Josh could compile a large list of items that, things that have got to be done, we've got to catch up on our maintenance for everything.
And a sidewalk.
Then we can allocate all of that.
Would it be difficult to put together,
From-
like a price guide for me of,
That's the only thing of the whole.
for me, for what you spend on, you don't, do we sub out our spraying for the
For like,
fields?
so we did use Rush Lawn once this year. They came and sprayed just a couple of our fields. But typically we use, if you want to, we do purchase our own chemicals, and we purchase them through Jeff and I.
Okay. And so we carry a license to do that legally?
Well, and that's, I'm glad you said that. Actually, in my interview, and asked questions about things like that. But I don't believe in the state of Arkansas that we have to have a license for that.
I think to mix chemicals, you have to. I may be speaking out of turn, but I think if you have a farm, you can get a license kind of grandfathered in. But in a situation like we're in, we may be in that situation.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like we have a farm, but that's not technically a farm, obviously.
From my understanding in the state, I know like in Texas, you definitely have to have a license for that. I'm not sure we have to.
Because the reason I'm asking this question is because would it be possible and feasible and practical for us to hire someone that was, their sole responsibility was to take care of our baseball fields? And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about having a staffed employee by the city
That's trained.
that would have their license, that could operate the mowers, that could take care of the ryegrass, because that is a feature that is an important feature. I don't know, if you could compile that list of things that we spend, and
Like
if
a
that, let's say if that
superintendent
came
of
up
a
to
golf course.
50,000, huh?
Like you have a superintendent of a golf course, we would have the superintendent of the fields or something.
Yeah.
Somebody that's just taking
Yeah,
care of it.
if we were
year-round.
spending 55
And
or
the park,
60K.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
I don't think we're
There-
spending that much. I know Rush, and I with Rush Lawn, which is based out of Searcy, they sprayed our fields once. He gave me a quote. Can't remember off the top of my head. I know 6,000 to 8,000. Does that sound right? I think it was 6,000 is what it was, and that would be spraying all the ball fields, and that would be once every other month type of deal with everything that goes on that needs it.
Which that includes pre-emerge, post-emerge,
Pre-emerge,
and
yeah.
4 feedings
Yep.
during the summer, okay?
I want to say it was 11 total, so whatever it would be.
Okay.
That doesn't do the common areas and things like what we call the common areas around the concession stand and things like that. But I want to say it was relatively pretty close, like to what we spend on chemicals versus what they gave. Like I said, I think it was either 6,000 and 8,000. Is that kind of, it was that kind of gap. However, the ryegrass was not included. Not everything was included in that. And I mean, like everything from chalk and fills takes manpower to time to do that, and obviously, the cost of the chalk. But we don't have, I mean, for those who are kind of baseball guys, I guess, would say like when you talk about building a mound, like it's a very complex with clay that you're tamping down and everything like that. And just to take guys who've never done it before, it's difficult for them to do.
So we need a motion
Thank you,
to
Josh.
buy the dirt.
I do.
We
I'd
do?
make a motion, we spend up to $27,550 with Specialized Outdoor Services to
And
fix
this-
Field 6.
I'm sorry, and this covers the mound. This is redoing the mound on field 6 as well. So it's not just dirt, it's redoing the mound, it's redoing the batter's box.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, Ms. Vicki, when you're ready.
J.P. Hodges,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs.
Yes,
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Ally Sugg,
Yes.
Motion carried. Next up, we have open mic. Would anyone like to address the council? Yes, sir. If you'll step up to the podium. Is the microphone still up there?
It should be.
Okay. Can you,
It's turned off and then turn it on.
can you use the microphone? And you may have to turn it on. Sorry.
We have people watching
And,
on YouTube.
And if you'll state your name,
Okay, I'm Mitch Weaverling, I live here in Heber Springs, and this is on the vendor issue.
yes, sir?
I have an agreement with Daniel at Red River Boating Center to set up in front of their warehouse for this summer. There's no agreement for next year, nothing, but I'm just wondering if there's a way I can finish the year out doing this. I set up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a holiday, like Labor Day. And that's the only times I set up. I sell stuff you're not gonna see in other stores just because it's political. Nobody wants to be labeled one or the other.
I don't mind being labeled one way or the other.
Me neither. That's why I sell this stuff. But anyway, I'm just saying if there's a possibility I can continue every weekend to be at that spot. From what I read in here is that I've got to be at another place where it's not in line of sight of where I was the time before. I can't go back there for 30 days, is the way I read this. And I'm
14
just-
days?
I thought it was less than that. Ronnie,
Yeah.
how many days,
The transient vendor is 30 days.
the transient one?
The food vendors is 14.
14.
The
Okay.
transient vendor, the mobile
Thought they were the same.
transient vendors was 30.
So you don't have a problem paying the, or getting the permit? You
I
just want to be.
purchased the permit
So
already.
you just want to be able to set up in the spot that the owner has already let you?
Yes, it's the issue of
Yeah,
being in a different
Yeah.
location.
yeah.
But he's not there consistently every day, if I'm understanding him correctly.
He is not. So basically,
So,
Yeah.
kind of to summarize what he's requesting
okay.
is almost like we would in planning and zoning, a variance. Requesting, he's not set up for 7 days permanently. He is set up for 3 days, he's gonna be gone for 4, come back, set up for 3 days, gone for 4. And he's requesting a variance per se, asking permission to do that for the remainder of this year.
Till November 5th?
He has.
Till
purchased-
November 5th?
You know it.
And he has purchased a permit.
And I think that the intention of it was so that it was a mobile, that we weren't saying that mobile and permanent were the same. I think that was the intent.
And to-
I'm
and to
speaking
keep-
for myself.
And to keep track of who's coming in.
And yes.
Our city.
So if we were gonna do a variance, how would we do that? Like if we would grant him
Just make a motion and pass
It
it?
sets a precedence, it's the only thing we're
I
worried
know.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few days a week, weekends.
You don't have any other place you can go.
No, I'm not going to Little Rock, get shot there. So,
Well, and it's up to you guys. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. He's not there for 30 days. It's not
Right. And it's
the
seasonal.
weekend. Yeah.
Well, it's
And-
annual.
And you have like
Quite
a,
annual.
I think I've seen, do you have like a trailer that you set up? It's not like, I
yeah,
mean,
yes,
it
it's,
looks,
I've got an enclosed trailer with a canopy that rolls out.
yeah.
It doesn't
it's-
stay there, like it's.
No, it's in my house
so-
right now.
Yeah, he sets up for a couple hours a day and then rolls out, I think. I
Yeah,
mean,
it'll be there. I'm gonna take it there tonight, as a matter of fact, and set it up. That way, I'm not in a rush in the morning, get everything set out. And I'll set up tomorrow, Saturday, part of Sunday. It dies off Sunday afternoon. And I load everything up, hitch it up, and take it home.
How much is the ticket?
The permit?
No, the ticket for if he doesn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
He's kidding.
He's kidding.
Well, I don't know, I mean, if he's not working on,
Yeah, it's- And I'll tell you, the initial fine is 25, and then it goes up from there. Based on the ordinance, up to $100, I believe.
I don't care. The only thing is, if you just pass it 1 month and you're breaking it the next. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does vary.
And I think it needs to be a situational thing,
Yeah.
like a variance,
Yeah.
it has to be.
And we can go in, if y'all grant him that approval right now, we can go back in and in that ordinance, state in that ordinance, we'd have to amend the ordinance.
Right.
But state in that ordinance that any variation from that has to be approved
By the council.
by the city council.
Yeah.
And then that
And you're
covers-
talking just this year? I mean, you,
It's an election year.
Political stuff.
Yeah, so it's like a,
Till the next
it's a
election.
seasonal.
I've got some Harris stuff, but it's pretty funny.
So you got both sides?
We're all gonna be there.
Okay, let's not talk about it in here.
It's pretty
What's the name of your
humorous.
business?
What's that?
What's the name of your business?
Kisa Caps.
What?
Kisa Caps.
Kisa Caps?
Yeah, I do embroidery on caps, but
Oh,
election years, I'm tied up. I don't embroider caps right now.
That's the name of your
I'm doing
trailer?
leather patches on them with really cool stuff on it. And you pick the cap out, you pick the patch out, and I apply it right there. Some awesome adhesive. And I got some pretty funny and pretty straightforward stuff.
I'll have to come by and see.
I don't
I'll
think
read
we're
it
gonna be
all.
overran with requests like this.
No.
And if that were the case, then we would have to
We'd have to
possibly
look at it
amend
again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we do need to amend the ordinance to do that, but I make a motion to allow
Kisa caps.
that Kisa Caps to
Mitch Weaverly.
Yeah.
Just say, have his name, I guess.
Through the election season
continue
or
to
whatever.
stay
Yeah.
through November 5th, 2024 at the voting center, whatever that address is.
For the cleanliness of it with the permits, I would almost prefer to say through the remainder of this permit for this year.
Okay.
Okay.
And that kind of carries it
Gotcha.
till
Yeah.
December 31st.
Okay. Did you get that?
I second.
I think so.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Vicki, when you're ready.
Yeah, okay, okay. All right, Ally Sugg,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
JP Hodges,
Yes.
Melissa Choate,
Yes.
Lane Tubbs,
Yes.
Jim Lay,
Yes,
Motion carried.
I want to thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
And stop by and see me.
Don't run off. I want to talk to you.
Thank you for being patient. Anyone else? Okay. Announcements, school has started and I hear it's off to a great start. I've talked to a couple of teachers. I'm sure the kids are real excited to be back. What do we have, Ally, what do we have coming up?
I don't know. Football season, that's all I
Football
know.
season.
Football season.
I don't really have any announcements this time.
Yeah.
no, we got a meeting, at 9 o'clock
9
Monday
o'clock
morning.
Monday morning.
Yeah, we got that?
At the courthouse.
At the
In
In
courthouse.
front of the courthouse.
front of the courthouse. Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn then.
Thank you.
Did you say you had a second?
Is there a second? Okay. JP?
Mhm.
Thank you all.
JP,